Welcome, lovely one, to the Meant for More podcast. My name's Lisa Clifford, and I am building the world's most empowering Meant for More movement, leading millions of heart-led purpose seekers from feeling insignificant to invincible. So I truly hope you enjoy this next episode. And welcome, Kevin. I am super excited to have you all the way from California. And Kevin and I have known of each other and know each other, but we don't know each other. So I'm going to take this opportunity to get to know him. So every question I ask Kevin, I do not know the answer to, and I'm hoping he does. So welcome, lovely. And I'm going to start with the first question, which is, and I'm sure you've got many, so you can pick as many as you like, but a moment, you know, those moments in your life where an inner voice says you are meant for more. Do you have a story of when you felt that within you?
Absolutely. And I love the theme of this podcast. I went back and watched several of them, and it really had me connecting with when I was called and had the feeling of meant for more. So as you say, there are many experiences in my life that have that, but to pick a few, the very first one in my memory is when I did a performance workshop with a Cirque du Soleil performer named Victor Key, very prestigious performer in Cirque du Soleil, now retired. And he pulled me aside and said he really liked what I was doing. He thought I was very talented and creative, and essentially said I was meant for more. And so that hit really hard. We all have...
Let me ask a quick question. I've got a question already, and I hate to interrupt you.
No problem.
Just paint a picture of what that performance was, so we can look through his eyes at you.
Sure. So we were taking juggling skills and adding character, movement, emotional quality, and a number of other, a list of 10 things he had. And he was taking us from doing a series of tricks to turning it into a performance that evoked emotion and wonder and excitement. So in this workshop of 20 people, each of us were coming up with a sequence of tricks. And we just started with very basic technical tricks. And then we went through this process of adding emotion, movement, dance, character, energy, tone, etc. And it was after that session that he pulled me aside and said he really liked what I was doing. He thought I was particularly good at it. And so that was really the first one where I was like, wow, I was very inspired by this highly regarded individual in the performance world really taking note of me. And the second one I would pick, and again, there are many, but the second one is after the first firewalk that I led. A couple days later, someone told me how they finally quit smoking. They were done. They were, sticking to it. And as you might know, the first time you lead a firewalk, you always have these little voices in your head. Oh, I don't know how about that. I'm not sure how good it went. But I
don't know how little the little voices are.
Yeah.
The big voices.
Big voices. Yeah, that's very true. So to get that feedback that I experienced a life-altering change, I was able to transform or heal myself through what you did, was this powerful moment like, oh, this is good work. This is meaningful. And it came with this feeling of I am meant for more. I am meant to share this with others. And validation of the path, if you will, inspiration, emotional, spiritual energy, all wrapped up in this one little moment.
Yeah.
So those are my two choices for moments of feeling.
Well, I'm sure we can have more, but there's something about in the first story and experience that you had when somebody said to you, you're meant for more. It's really interesting how usually it's a tap at the window of our soul almost, that somebody says, I see you and I can see your potential. And then you think, oh, let me have a look through that lens of who I could be. can you just share, if possible, what that little internal journey was? Because I think it's those little short internal journeys that actually manifest themselves in the biggest of footprints outside ourselves, would you say?
Absolutely. So, yeah, there's this bridge you cross. And on one
Mm,
side of the bridge, it's I want to do this. I like to do this. And it's all wrapped up in the doubt and the big voices,
yeah.
um, the hesitations, the fears, the self-criticisms. And there comes a point when either because of a knock at the window or some pivotal moment where you cross this bridge and you are now very clearly on this other side. It's it's a, it's like a calling. It's like a personal revelation. It's like a profound internal realization where, of course, there's still doubts and hesitations and fear. We never fully transcend those, but you are now steadfast. You have become someone who says, I am on this path, for better or for worse, succeed or fail. This is something that is meaningful to me, and I will pursue it. So, uh, difficult to describe such a complex and nuanced thing, but that would be my metaphor. I was on this side of the bridge, and this person or that person told me something, shared something with me that validated and gave me that little extra boost for me to take those steps over the bridge and then land on the other side.
Thank goodness you did as well, because you do absolutely fantastic work in the world. And you position yourself everywhere, and everywhere I really feel like you create your lighthouse, so that I always have this feeling that we're our own individual mission, and that the souls that resonate with us need to be able to find us.
Mm,
And you absolutely, the word market feels a bit clinical, but and expose also feels not quite the right
yeah,
word, but you massively shine that lighthouse so bright so people can find you, not out of greed and not out of territory, but out of, it feels like a heart-driven mission, Kevin, when I see it. And you're so giving anytime that you lead a workshop, that you offer free workshops. You're part of the global Firewalking Alliance. And when you deliver your workshops, there's not a moment that you don't fill with value. There's no duplication of what you've already said. It's like, we have not got time for that. I want to give everybody as much as possible, so that they're as fueled as possible to go make their wave, their difference in the world. So I'm very glad that somebody, that little nudge, look what that little
yeah,
nudge, that they did, that little nudge, you filled your tank up with it, and you went for it.
yeah.
um
I really
this
like the lighthouse metaphor. As you say, marketing sounds clinical, but when you believe in what you do and you have seen and you really know the value of what you offer, it's nice to shine that light. And so the lighthouse is a beautiful metaphor that keeps going in layers, right? People are lost at sea in a storm, and there's all this trouble, and they can see a light. But I'll take that forward with me, shining a
yeah,
light from the lighthouse. I like
because I
that.
do think that people have this brilliant offer, an impact they want to make in the world, and yet they get shy about shining the light. So those souls that have made agreements, I feel like we make agreements in our past life,
Mm,
or wherever, we make an agreement, and then we make it hard for people to find us. And so it's our responsibility as as healers and helpers, that we help people find us. So I want to just, there's something that you said about having fears and doubts and limitations and self criticisms and all that goes on in the human mind. And so we master quietening it. But you said we don't fully transcend from it. And I think so many people have a belief that they should be doubt free, limitation free, that they get fixed in that way in some way.
Yeah, permanently, forever
How do
free.
you help other people, but also yourself in that honesty about the doubt and fear that shows up in you? And then how do you move with it or around it or over it? What's your
Yeah.
journey?
Um, it's true. It's when you're finally free of all the fear and the doubt and the hesitation, your life has ended. And that's, it's part of the human condition. Now we can certainly become, as you know, better at dealing with it and not letting it hold us back, which is such a valuable and useful skill set. I definitely call on the firewalking world and its teachings, stepping forward, even when you are unsure, afraid. If what's on the other side matters, I want to step forward. I tell myself that all the time. And I like to say many of our core activities that for example, the arrow, the glass, rebar, board, each of them teaches a different skill, or in some circles, they call it a different medicine. So there is a time in life when we need to very carefully, consciously move forward. And that's that glass walking medicine. Maybe you're dealing with someone with trauma or a very sensitive situation. You need to just gently, slowly move forward. There's times with the firewalk energy, some fear is holding you back, some doubt, and you need to breathe it in or chant or cheer or whatever it is you do and go forward confidently and boldly. There's times when there's an obstacle in our life like the board, and you have to summon everything you have and actually break through it because it gives so much resistance. There's times in life where you're very uncomfortable, and the more and more you don't try your hardest, like that arrow in your throat, the more and more uncomfortable it is. So I like to call on the medicine of all of these different activities at different times. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the teachings of juggling. On the surface, it's a playful hobby. It's kind of cute and fun, but there are these deep-seated things about trying again. No one learns to juggle 5 balls, for example, without thousands of drops, thousands of failures. And if you have the mindset where this failure just gets to you, you'll never continue on your skill journey. And so in juggling, in this deep way, you learn to try again. Not just try again, but pick it up, take a breath, optimize yourself, move forward, forget the past, and try again. Learn what you can from your mistake. So those core skills of what I do in the firewalking world and in the juggling and fire dancing world have all given me techniques to handle it, because I still get hesitation. I still experience fear. I haven't removed it from my life. I've improved the way I handle it when it comes up.
I think that's such an important message, because people are so critical of themselves, aren't they? They're constantly looking for where they're failing or not doing enough, or where they can improve, or where somebody else is better. And I think they make an assumption when they look at themselves that they should be free of doubt, free of limiting themselves, free of all of those things, like, oh, I should be further along than this now. And I love what you've just said, which is about not expecting to be free of it, but it doesn't hold you back. You walk with it, you dance with it, it accompanies you to whatever we're doing. I think, and also that all of those components that you mentioned, when you practice them from the heart and with sacredness, they do become a way of life, a way in which we think. I know that I had a little bit of cancer a couple of years ago, and it is a little bit of cancer. But I noticed how very quickly, well, it didn't, there wasn't something that shifted in my mind. My mind just was, what are the facts? I'm in the very best position right now for the next step, whatever that is. I don't know what the next step is until I know what the next step is. And that's what the firewalking teaches us is, don't make a decision right now based on no information of what's good for you until you're right there in front of it. And I have to say, I absolutely never once got emotional about it, was never worried about it. It's not that I was making myself believe, oh, it's all right. It's just that I can only work with what I know right now. So I'm going to just focus on the facts I know right now. And I really believe that all the work that we do, when we are it, then it actually is a brilliant foundation to live life with. And a friend of mine today was saying about, she just got a call from school that the teacher suspects that her daughter might be self-harming.
Mm.
And there were a couple of stages to the conversation, and I said, and it's how you would walk on the glass. I said, first of all, you just gently sit down. You just gently put your foot on the glass, and then you just gently address the first part of what you've been told, that she put something up her sleeve. Did you put something up your sleeve? And then you wait for that to land, and you feel as they give their information, and you listen, and you're intuitive. It is not about responding, it's about being. And then when you've heard all there is to hear, and it doesn't answer the next question, then you ask the next question. Are you hurting yourself? If you use those words. But again, it's that very gentle. And she said, I'm so glad you've said this to me, because I would have just gone straight in with a
Charged right
whole
through.
power straight through. Whereas when you take the model of thinking and being with the glass walk, it is a feel gently and pause and be and notice the discomfort or the unfamiliarity of what's beneath our feet. But that is life, isn't it?
It is. I love that. Such a beautiful example of how these breakthrough processes can teach us something, because we can't charge through every challenge. There are some challenges you should charge through, but not every challenge is a charge through. And so all these things give us those lovely tools. Beautiful example of glass walking medicine in action.
You must have seen, or even had your own, seen almost a miracle before your own eyes in all the courses you have taught. Just share a little bit, actually. Give us a glimpse into all your fascinating areas of expertise. And then my second question would be, what's a miracle that you've witnessed? But let people understand who you are and what you do in the world.
Sure. Well, I am a firewalk instructor of over 20 years. I have 2 different mastery certificates. One of the unique things about me is I've trained with many different schools. I've been to 8 different firewalking schools to really soak it up. I love it all so much. And it's a big part of what I do, is leading firewalking events for a broad variety. Some instructors have their niche. I am all over the place, ranging from private events for yoga centers to corporate events, festivals, conventions. I do things for television. I've been on many commercials. I have worked from the deep spiritual realms to the raw Western corporate. I've been all over the firewalking map, as it were. And then I have a big passion for fire arts. As a young man, a teenager, I was a juggler, and that evolved into fire juggling, which led to fire eating, which led to all of these fire arts tricks, fire magic, fire staff, fire stick dancing, fire this, fire that. One of my hobbies is friction fire starting, traditional fire starting methods. I'm just a big fan of anything related to fire. Now, some people say, oh, you're a pyromaniac, but I don't use that term. A pyromaniac wishes to see fire go out of control. And that's not me. And a phrase I learned from my wife, I'm more of a pyrophiliac, a lover of fire, somebody who adores and loves and cherishes it. And so to put those 2 things together, I like to blend the fire arts and the magic and the performance world, the theater realm, with the firewalking world and motivation and personal growth. And when they come together, there's just been so much magic. It's clear. We were talking about it with the Meant for More moments, but when those things come together beautifully and perfectly, it's incredible. I'm a big fan of ritual theater. In Japan and many other cultures, there is a deep reverence for theater. It's not just a show for entertainment. It is more than that. It transcends performance and becomes ceremonial and ritualized. And so I am big into blending theater and fire arts with firewalking and motivation to create unique, memorable, authentic experiences for people. The second part of your question, any miracles I've witnessed? There's been a lot of moments in this world. As you know, you firewalk enough, you're going to see a lot of incredible things. One of the more recent ones was stepping into genuinely deep coal beds, 18 inches. I'm not sure what that is in centimeters, but most coal beds, and for good reason, are generally an inch, maybe 2 inches. And so recently I've been evolving this practice.
18 inches, I think, would come up to my knees.
Yeah.
Might be my whole leg. I'm 5'1".
Right.
So
Well, yeah, that's significant. It was a feeling of miraculousness within myself that is hard to perfectly describe. But having done firewalking many times, and I've been burned more than a few times, not badly, but on little coal beds, right? It doesn't have to be a lot to give you a kiss, as we say. But so I was genuinely, buzzing with energy and genuinely afraid again, and just excited, and tromps through it and back again several steps with nothing, no sensation of pain, heat, no burn. And this was 10 times the magnitude what I normally do. So it was this inner feeling of whoa, you can't perfectly explain that in words.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. And then moments where people made these changes in their life, when ranging from leaving abusive partners to leaving one woman. This was early on when I was working with Tolly. She comes, and Tolly was just a special guest at my seminar, and he led an activity called the Samurai Game, an abridged version, a short version where people face off on these challenges, and they have to give their best because whoever loses dies for the rest of the game, and they have to lie in the graveyard. It's designed to bring your best out of you. This woman, she was probably only 5'4", a smaller woman named Raven. She beat everybody. She beat all these athletic people and all these other confident folk, and just beat 20 people in this room, was the grand champion. And that alone was an incredible thing to witness. But then within a week, she leaves her corporate job in San Francisco and moves to Peru to study shamanism. And that moment of her overcoming, giving her best, it was such a revelation for her that she made this, you could call, miraculous change. Many times we make small changes and they do lead to big differences, but every once in a while, someone's like, whoop, I am leaving this situation that does not serve me, that I do not like. And they change their life entirely. And that's always had a miraculous feel for me. And then, of course, we've seen things with the weather where it looks like there's just no chance. And then literally on the radar, little things, a hole appears right above you, just enough time for the firewalk. Those are little magical experiences you could call miraculous. So that's just a few of them.
I know that people listen to this will be like, you have got to ask him. He walked on 18-inch coal bed. How did you prepare yourself for that? Because everybody will have heard what you've just said now, but really be thinking, I need to know how. People always want to know how, don't they? And the other thing that I think is actually the motivator is the why. So you can share how you did it, but I'm guessing it was the why that actually created the how. But
Sure. I'll start with why, and then I'll transition to how. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of, a proponent of advanced firewalking. And it's a very nuanced thing because, and I like to use downhill skiing as a metaphor, to align things, because in downhill skiing, there's well understood categorization of difficulty and risk. There's the bunny hill and the green circle runs and the blue squares and the black diamonds and the double black diamonds and the backcountry cliff skiing. Each of them has increased risk, and it is not justifiable. It is immoral to take a beginner skier and take them over to the double black diamond.
Yeah.
And so too in firewalking, right? For good reason, we start with an easier coal bed, and even the easiest coal bed still has genuine risk. Now, when you've been involved in it a long time, it's nice to push your own comfort zone. I believe in advanced firewalking because when we continue to push our comfort zone, we continue to grow. The 500th time you stand before a classic coal bed, there's always a reverence and respect, but there is less of that discomfort, uncertainty, and fear. So one reason is to continue my growth, to continue the growth and help others who are advanced firewalkers continue their growth. And another one is to instill the teaching in a deeper way. And by that, I mean, it's often said, raise energy to cross a coal bed. And people do this different ways: breathing, chanting, rah music, intense screaming, air guitar. There's a huge spectrum of how people raise their energy. But generally speaking, in the firewalking world, everyone teaches a version of raise your energy before you walk on the fire. And so when the first time I came to a deep coal bed, for the first time in a long time, I was looking at myself like, what does that mean? Raise my energy. I took the lesson seriously. There's an old saying about the spiral, and we come to the same lesson over and over again at deeper levels. Boom, boom, boom. And so it's taking the teaching of I can raise my own personal energy to a new level. In addition to those two reasons, it leads to exciting media, as you say, which sounds ego-based, and yet we just had a discussion about being a lighthouse. When the coal beds are brighter and redder and there's more fire, it looks more engaging. It's exciting. It magnetizes others to you. So that's just a few reasons of the why. The biggest one is just to continue my journey. I'm not done learning everything there is to know about firewalking. And when I step in front of that coal bed, the deep one, wow, I'm raw, prime, nervous, real, a little uncomfortable, and yet inspired and motivated. It's just that sweet spot. Mwah. So that's a little bit as to why. And then the how, there's the physical and the energetic of the how. The physical is you have to lift your feet up. No more walking straight with normal strides, because you would just be kicking all these poles. So you have to
lift your feet up as though you're about to go on the stairs.
Big, high-footed stomps.
Yeah.
You know? And so that there's literally a physical technique where you walk with an energized, high stepping thing, and then you get out of it. Then
and
there's
how did you raise your energy though? Before you go on the coals, how did you raise your
Absolutely.
energy? What was your personal process?
Something I've learned is called the prime pump. And a prime pump is an intensified energy building. You know, there's yes, okay, right? A lot of us, even when we build energy, we're actually just still holding back for different reasons, habit, the people around us, etc. So transcending the usual, usually I'll take a few deep breaths, move my body, shake my head, get a positive mental mantra. And then for the deep coal bed, it's much more intensified. If it's appropriate for the environment, I'll let out big, yes. Heavy movement. You know, I'll shake my camera all around if I do an exact example. And then there's this final little cherry on top. You've got the physical technique, prime pumping, or serious energy building, like intense energy building. And then there's purpose. When we do an advanced firewalk, you don't want to do it for the wrong reasons. So
Yeah.
in this most recent case, I dedicated it to my mother, who's still in recovery from her stroke. She's doing very well. Now I'm walking for something more than
Yes.
just me.
Yeah.
So you've got the physical technique, which when I teach it, we actually practice it. I want to see you stomp across, higher, come on, let's go. And then we have the energetic. And the truth is, when the energetic part, not everyone is comfortable with kind of this intensified, ragey energy. Rage isn't the right word because there's no anger there, but it personifies the amount of
It's
intensity.
primal. It's like a
Primal.
primal energy, isn't it? I think that's what I'm feeling that you
Primal's
described.
much better than rage.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So for some people, that prime pump is just deep breathing, like meditating a little more than usual, breathing more, visualizing more, whatever it is they do. I encourage them to do more, but I do recognize not everyone is a shake your fist in the air and scream kind of person.
But you know what, Kevin? I think, though, we've become so self-conscious that it would be brilliant medicine for us to do that without considering and without thinking or
It's so
filtering.
freeing. It's
Just go
very freeing.
flow through it all. So as I'm listening to you and I'm imagining, and the other thing I just want to share with people listening is what we're doing is we're raising our vibration, our inner vibration, to match the vibration frequency of the fire that we assume it is. So we assume it's high. So is that right? Would you say that's a correct
Absolutely.
statement?
Yeah. We all the time we say you want to raise your energy to that or greater than that of the fire. Classic teaching from the Kalahari Kung Bushmen, some of the most renowned firewalkers in the world. Very simplified, that was their belief. The fire has an energy, a noom. You have an energy, a noom. And you must first raise your energy or noom to that or above that of the fire. And just to put a cap on that thing, you've got the physical technique, big, high, energized steps. The energetic technique, a prime pump. Whatever you do to raise energy, really do it. And then you've got purpose, dedicating it to a cause or to a person, a reason beyond yourself. And you put all that together. And you're absolutely right, especially in the UK, especially in England, getting people to really let it go. There's decades of walls and cultural barriers and stigma.
Yeah.
And, it's so releasing to just let it out,
Do you think that's what do you know what? I think what you're saying is making me feel like it's what we need is that, because I can imagine. So as you were talking, I was imagining, what if there was a group of us and a group of us doing it and we were just being primal? I could still see us Brits, well, me and others, looking around to see how primal. I mean, it's primal, isn't it? But right, Lisa's going for it. I'm going to go for it. Kevin's really going for it all. I'm going to go for it a bit more. We continually benchmark ourselves as though we're unconsciously looking for permission to be who we're like Russian dolls, aren't we?
Yeah.
And really what we want to get to is make that little tiny inner doll, the big doll, without any layers around us. And so what I'm loving about this experience that you had with the 18-inch coals and how you're preparing yourself, I actually feel like there's medicine in that preparation. Never mind the walk. There's medicine in that. Like, I'm going to pull everything that I do and don't know about myself in service here, because this is a one-time shot of going over these calls. You take the first step and you're not properly ready, you're off.
Oh, yeah.
For a while.
That's no joke. And it's such a moment of uncertainty. It's like in the Indiana Jones film when he has to step into the invisible bridge and he can't see it. And so when you're standing there, you don't really know how it's going to go. And so to boldly step forward in the face of such uncertainty and genuine risk, it's, as circling back to me, it felt miraculous that I got to the other side, and I've walked on much smaller fires and felt much more heat. My intensity, my energy, my vibration led to an incredible phenomenon that to this day gives me awe.
Tell us.
Yeah, I'm just really jumping on and elaborating is the word I was looking for.
Because I think doing that must play out in your life of a knowing about yourself that something, my sense, my feeling, and it is only a feeling and I could be completely wrong, is that there was a fullness of you that you could trust more. Because when you prepare for that, there's no doubt if you're walking on 18 inches of coals, if you're not ready, you're losing the skin on the bottom of your feet.
It's a real risk. Yeah. The risk ranges from small minor blisters to severe burning. It is possible. So you need to be ready. I would describe ready as a spectrum as opposed to a single, yes, I'm ready. No, I'm not. You are in different stages of readiness, and that correlates to how much risk you're going to be absorbing. And so ready, way over here ready is different than, okay, kind of ready.
Yeah. And so I'm just wondering, was there a difference in who you are that is like a self-trust of what you're capable of? Like, there's something about having a knowing about yourself, isn't there? I don't know whether I'm putting the right words for this.
And there's something about lived physical experiences that are indelibly part of us. And, you and I, we've heard amazing teachings from all of these different people, but often when it's just words, they land a little lighter. The seed doesn't always take, sometimes. But when we live something and experience it stays and is ingrained in us in a different and deeper and indelible way. And so to answer your question, yeah, for me, the revelation and the teachings in my life that have come from the deep coal bed are about the really difficult challenges and the extra risks. I'll use an example. I've been doing events for a long time, both for other people and selling tickets into my events. And so I have a new event planned, and it's called Lightning, where you actually suit up in a special thing, stand next to a giant Tesla coil, and use swords to wield lightning, real lightning bolts all over your body. It's wild, exciting. It's hard to imagine. I can send you a video.
Because I cannot. Yes, send
it's
me a
hard
video
to imagine. It is so dramatic and so exciting. So I've been talking with this gentleman, Michael Ravenwood from Skyfire Arts, for years about doing this in a empowerment setting. He's always done it as a performance. And so we're finally doing it. Now, just the Tesla coil shipping and the Tesla coil operators and the insurance and all of these things takes my overhead way higher than what I might normally be doing. And as you know, in an event, your overhead is risk. And so we're doing this event and there's more risk. There's more logistics. It's more intense. It's more bombastic. It's more, I've never done this before. And so I remember as those final moments of, are we going to do this? I thought of the deep coal bed. And it's like, well, I've already done lots of events, as in I've already done lots of firewalks, but I can do this. Yeah, there's more risk, but if I give it my absolute all, I believe in this and I will be stepping forward into this deep coal bed. So it's an example of, I already knew I could do events, but I'd been hesitating and worried about the risk of this logistically super intense event. But I called on that experience, pardon, and said, yes, I can do this. I will step forward. I'm going to raise up my energy, my assets, and my abilities, and I'm going to move forward. And so now the event is scheduled April 25th and 26th, Las Vegas, Nevada, and Lightning. It's happening. It's a deep coal bed. Yeah, it's a deep coal bed for me. And I'm willing to step forward. So that's a real world example of how it's helped.
Wow. You definitely have to send a video because I cannot picture it. And will it just be you doing it, or will there be?
No, I'm partnering with Michael Ravenwood of Skyfire.
But you're not doing a group. It's not a group.
He has been branching into public speaking. And he actually took the Firewalk instructor training from me 10 years ago. And so he is into motivation. He is into training. He is getting quite good at his presentations, very eloquent, very powerful person. And so he and I will be co-presenting. I'm bringing all of the, I'm bringing all of this motivation and empowerment and breakthrough activities from the firewalking world. And he's bringing not just the lightning experience, but an entire progression, a pathway of personal growth and realization that leads to it. And then we're both fire dancers. So we are decorating it and sprinkling it with fire arts throughout the 2 days. And so it will be co-presented by Michael and myself.
And will it be an opportunity for people to join in or to observe?
No, this is 100% participatory. This is an empowerment experience. We are taking this performative thing that is unique and rare, wielding lightning, and we are taking it into the experiential realm. So not only are we going to train and build and work everyone up to getting to wield the lightning themselves, that's one of the core activities in the whole thing, but we are dressing it with metaphor and meaning and empowerment. And, you know, there's a lot of people out there who connect fire with empowerment and growth for good reason. And so we are taking that energy and now connecting it with lightning, that spark of brilliance, that dynamic moment of action, the natural power in the world and within us. All of these connections are being woven into what will ultimately be every participant experiencing the lightning directly for themselves.
Wow. Will this be your biggest level yet?
Ooh, in many ways, yes. In other ways, not. For example, I do a mastery training every other year. It's a master's firewalk instructor training. It is 7 days. It is so intense and so powerful and just an incredible ride. It includes the deep coal bed, amongst other things. And it is, I think, really, truly some of my best work. And it's 7 days. And there's we traveled all these different spots. Now, this event is 2 days, all in the same spot. But when it comes, so yes and no. In the number of days and the grand vision of it all, not quite. But in terms of production, complexity, safety requirements, the safety is one of the few things that has transcended the safety of firewalking. By that, I mean there's more. In firewalking, we need the hose. You have to make sure the fire doesn't catch on fire, make sure everyone's safe. There's all this safety things. But to make sure no one gets electrocuted, we literally are hiring other people as well whose sole job it is to maintain the suits, keep everything just so, wattage, voltage, the floor, the ceiling, the roof, the curtains, all of it has to be done just so. And fortunately for me, Michael, my partner in it, has been doing those logistics for 15 years. So it's intense. In many ways it is, and in a few ways it's not.
What sort of, do you imagine that people attending will have a transformation? As well as learning this incredible.
Yeah. That is at the core of our purpose. This is not just bombastic. This is not just really, really cool. We want transformation to be at the core of it. And I'm confident they will. One, I've been doing transformational work a long time, and I'm half of this program. So we're going to have a lot of these transformational experiences built up into it. And we will sequence people with meaningful experience leading up to it. Two, my partner is eloquent, poetic, profound, an incredible man who really, really doesn't just teach, the idea that lightning is cool, but at the core of his entire approach is changing yourself, changing the world for the better, harnessing our natural energy, the forces of what we have inside us, of our communities, of the world itself. And so I absolutely believe by the last day, when everyone has that moment, it'll be more than just a cool Instagram story. It will be a profoundly life-impacting thing.
I think it's always amazing when people walk away from experiences saying, that's who I am. That's it. When they see their mirror, when they do something that they didn't think they were going to do, and then they do it, and they can't deny themselves of who they are anymore. That sounds so exciting. I've got a couple more questions. One
Of
is,
course.
you have so much energy and life and light, Kevin. That's love. um, I know people normally go like that. As a little boy, what were you like as a little boy? Because I feel like you keep him alive. I
Mm.
feel like you keep that little boy alive and that you honor him, but as an adult. But is that?
Yeah, absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about. And as a young child, I was fairly well behaved. I was the older of two siblings. I liked baseball and I liked, video games. Very classic Americana young man. It was the juggling and the theater in my teens, learning to juggle, finding juggling and circus community, and then doing theater, musical theater and otherwise theater, that started to really bring out this joyful celebration. And there are some amazing articles in the juggling world, actually, about permission to play. And many times as we become adults, we lose that connection and we assume, well, now that I'm older, everything has to be serious and profound and, it's don't kid stuff and be silly. But there's a balance there. We do need to grow. We do need to mature, but we do not have to lose our sense of play, of fun, of energy. And I credit juggling, theater, fire dancing with keeping the play alive. I got these less than a week ago. These new props right here
What are
from
they?
Japan. And I'm so excited to play with them, to light them on fire like a kid. I have this excitement in me just talking about it because I'm going to get to play and move and experience this novelty that blends with fun and excitement because they're on fire. So through these art forms, I have held on to my love of play and exploration and curiosity. And that definitely spills over into my firewalking, where we have activities that are, in fact, I intentionally take people on the journeys. Let's play and have some fun. Now let's get deep and emotional and stay there. Now let's go get really excited and then we'll slowly bring it down like the melody of a song. So play finds its way into everything I do. And I genuinely believe I've held on to it in a very real way because of juggling, theater, music, and circus arts and fire dance.
It's something I really admire in you because I don't have it in myself. As a child, I grew up being really responsible, and I have kinesiology sessions. I am a trained kinesiologist, but I don't use it. But I have regular kinesiology sessions with my teacher, and she's amazing. And always that comes up is that I need more childlike play. And I don't know. I mean, I'm really being open and honest here. I don't know how to access it. And then when I see you, I can really see it and feel it in you. And it's not wild play within you. It's still with the adult in you, but the full expression of being, yeah, playful. And it is really wonderful to see that and feel. And so I can imagine that being trained by you is an experience.
Yeah,
I say
it is.
fearfully.
It is.
um,
There's definitely play involved.
yeah. And you've got such a great reputation as well. So I say this with love that the child spirit is essential and it's who you are, but also it is very is used very appropriately and meaningfully. So and speaking of your reputation, this is not where I drop a bomb. Have you read the paper today? No. Speaking of your reputation, what two questions, I don't know if they're the same. What is your purpose in life? You know, if you were always aligning yourself and calibrating yourself with something, what would you say that is?
Yeah, I went through a very powerful process of choosing your purpose a number of years ago, and there was this great workshop about getting a simple, succinct, easy to remember phrase that will always be the same to help you stay aligned. Because for many people, you ask their purpose and they'll give you 2 paragraphs of improv, and then the next time that will change a little. Not to say we can't change our purpose. Absolutely, anytime you want. But
Mm,
my purpose is to empower, educate, and entertain the world. Very simply put. Within the empower includes lots of different subcategories: personal growth, healing, professional empowerment, spiritual empowerment. So growth. But what I did was I got 3 E's. I empower, I educate. I do lots of teaching. So whether it's the skills of firewalking or performance classes, public speaking, I teach. I'm an educator, and then I'm an entertainer. And so my purpose in life is to empower, educate, and entertain the world. And some people get a little caught up in trying to find such a short, succinct version, but the key is in just a broad definition. It's not just Western empowerment. Under empower, I mean all of these other things. And under education, there's quite a liberal list of things that include it within that. But it always lets me say it the same. And then sometimes when I'm facing a question, should I do this project? Does it serve my purpose? And when it's, well, yeah, I'll be empowering, entertaining, and educating, like with this upcoming lightning event. Yes, it serves my purpose. And so I say it easily and simply now, and I've had that for many years, but it took a while. And
yeah,
it's very, very meaningful for me to have this simple, easy to remember, easy to repeat purpose. And obviously, my purpose in life extends beyond the boundaries of 3 words. And yet,
yeah.
that means something to me. So that is my purpose.
Mm. What do you think humanity needs right now? And I'm wondering, I say the question and then my mind shows me the globe. And I'm wondering if what humanity needs isn't one thing, but it's different in different places.
Yeah, truly. It's a nuanced question, and the answer I do think is different in different places, as you say. I think, and I just said the word actually, nuance, and the ability to entertain non-polar truths. And one thing I've noticed in my culture is it's so much more and more and more. There's no middle. You are this or you are that. If you are not this, you are bad
You are
because you are
bad.
that. But
Yeah.
there's this spectrum of life and opinions, and there's so much nuance. And I think that patience
Yeah.
is needed. I think that embracing nuance and understanding is needed. I think that a little more meditation, a little more singing, a little more dancing.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a tough question, but those are some of the things. I think we need patience. I think
Yeah.
we need to embrace nuance. I think we need to slow down, breathe, and
Mm.
meditate. A little more singing, a little more dancing, and a little less of some things. When we talk about what the world needs, it's not always a positive add-on. Sometimes it's less, right?
Mhm.
The media has done things. It's a double-edged sword. There's good things, but the nonstop 24-hour news cycles, the sensationalism that's happening. I'm a big fan of social media, but I recognize that there are things about social media that are unhealthy. So
Mhm.
we need to do more of some things, but we need less of some other things.
I completely agree. I think the patience, the slowing down, slow down and listen. I mean, like, really listen to somebody or who they are in this moment rather than who we thought they were 10 minutes ago or the box that we've put them in, but to really stop and listen to someone. So often, and I've probably done this with you, I'm not saying that I'm perfect at all, but so often we're listening to echo or to respond or to empathize or to show, look, I know what you're talking about because I've got this example. And I know that we're in a slightly different situation because we're having a conversation, and there's a responsibility to keep some of the conversation alive and to put pictures to it and feeling to it. And so it can be a little bit clunky. But I think when we're sitting down as friends, if you and I were together, I'm pretty sure we'd give each other a good listening to, that kind of, let me sit with you and understand you, feel what you're saying, like really. And there's something, I think it's Buddhism that says the biggest gift you can give anybody is just to listen. And there's healing that happens in that listening without interruption, without understanding or clarifying, or there's almost like a perception of acceptance, isn't there? And we all want to be accepted. And it makes me very sad when you think about some of the people, some of the things that are happening in different parts of the world and people dying and being killed. It makes me so sad. And then there's some other parts of the world where, I went and built a house in Nepal a few years ago, and they live, when the earthquake happened, and there's a group of, we didn't know each other, a group of us from the UK, 8 of us, went over, paid for materials and built a house with a Nepalese company that I'm friends with now. And they were living in the cowshed, and but very happy in the cowshed with just a little stool to sit on and rice that they cooked at the side, and just that love and curiosity that they have. So, but I think stepping back, and for me it would be, I think that we could just do with listening more to each other. And that only comes once we're patient, the gift of patience.
Absolutely.
A quirky last question.
Sure.
I feel compelled to ask, are you thinking of walking on lava?
Oh, if the time comes, absolutely. There's some nuance there. The practice of walking on lava
Is it the
is.
Fijians that walk on lava? Is it the
I'm
Fijians?
only familiar with the Hawaiian tradition.
That's it.
The kahunas, the tribal leaders of Hawaii, have passed down a knowledge of walking on lava while it was still red, but just hard enough. And when you talk about risk, if your foot breaks through, you probably lose your foot. So that's such an intense risk. But there's this additional element of cultural sensitivity. And to go to the islands of Hawaii and find the lava and do, tests and pound it. I had literally imagined, what would I do in my mind? Well, I would start with a rock and throw that over, and then I'd push down with a fake foot and see how that was. I kind of worked it out in my head. But now, as I become more culturally aware and sensitive, I'm aware that that would not be respectful. The only respectful way to do it would be with a kahuna who is consciously and willingly sharing this practice with you. They keep that a deeply treasured and guarded secret. So for a Westerner to come over there and just start poking around and then do it would be culturally insensitive to a very dramatic degree. So if the time could ever come where I was blessed to get to be guided in that process by a kahuna or someone of that lineage who holds that teaching, I would absolutely do it. But I've talked myself down from just trying to figure it out myself as much as I want to.
There are some things that there's no amount of how that is needed. I think this experience would be one of ceremony, of ritual, of connection, respect, and it would be less about the how. The how is you walk over. The connection with the tribe and the land, I think, is where the work is,
Absolutely.
isn't it? I don't know why I thought to ask you that, but
You're not the first
strangely,
one. You're not the first one to ask
really,
me that.
it felt like a natural next question, and I really need to have a chat with myself about the people I hang out with, that it's natural to ask, are you gonna walk on lava? So just in closing, because you've been so generous with your time and your heart, Kevin, what one thing would you love people to know about themselves?
Mm.
I could do with leaving these questions with you in advance, I'm sure.
I would say we can change our lives, and that even small changes in direction eventually lead to significant changes in our life that help us, our family, our community, and ultimately the world. One thing I've been sharing recently is the world is, for many, a very scary place right now. It is very daunting. We don't know what's going to happen or what's on the other side, so to speak. And I really tie in that firewalk teaching. Yes, there is risk. Yes, the world is in a tumultuous place at the moment. But you have to ask yourself, is what's on the other side worth stepping forward? I believe it is. I believe we continue to hold our arms out, breathe deep, connect, and move forward. And that what is on the other side is worth it. Even if we get a little burn or a little kiss, if what's on the other side is worth it, then we step forward. Lastly, I would say, have some fun, find
Yeah.
some time to play and move around a little bit and seek out personal growth. Seek out personal growth. Even for those who have already been to a seminar or two, make it a regular part of your life. If you're a firewalking instructor listening to this, I genuinely encourage you to train with other schools. And I'll say, I don't think it matters that much which one you go to, but there's a big, beautiful world. This has been my journey the past 6 years, getting out of my bubble and going and training with other schools. Every school has something to offer. Every school. And then you get to pluck the leaves and the vines to make your own wreath of growth and empowerment. So keep empowerment in your life. Train with other schools if you're a firewalker. Be willing to step forward if what is on the other side matters. Have a little fun. And with that, I'll just say I hope to share space with you by the fire soon, Lisa.
Oh, I hope so as well. I hope so. And I just want to say, send the video so we can include it of
The lightning, yes.
Enlighten, yeah. And a link where people can.
Yep, I emailed it already, but I'll just point it out
you.
here. I have a link tree.
Right.
Kevin Axtell link tree. It has links to all the things, whichever social media you like. I'm probably there.
Then? Can people book on your Enlighten course?
Right now it's September 25th. Tickets open October 1st.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kevin. I have loved every second. I had no idea where our conversation was going to go. I didn't want to orchestrate it. I wanted it to be like we were all learning about you together. And I hope I've asked the questions that anybody listening or watching was asking in their head. And if I haven't, put them in the comments and I'll get him back.
I look forward to that. Lisa, thank you for all you do, not just this podcast, but for all the healing and growth that you share with the world. It's great. I appreciate and admire you.
Thank you. Likewise. Lots of love. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you would like to be involved in the Meant for More movement, then please drop me a line at lisa@lisaclifford.co.uk. Whether that's you're interested in being on the podcast, taking part in any of the trainings, or would just love to know how you can help empower others, then let's have a conversation. Thank you for listening, and we'll connect again very soon.